Okay. Next up is board's chair report. Man, that's coming up quick. I've been looking forward to this report. As many of you know that I work with on the board, I work with the military, Department of Defense, as a ombudsman, kind of mediator person that kind of helps service members and reservist service members and their employees. And I'm constantly surrounded by heroes in that sense, and there's tons of heroes among us. And then as I think of heroes now, especially coming out of this pandemic and post-pandemic, with this being the Teacher Appreciation Week going on, I just can't. I've just got to take advantage of the opportunity here in my report to acknowledge and recognize our teachers and also their support staff. A lot of people want to keep adding that, and it's important. They are very important, our classified employees and administration, everyone that supports these teachers. But too many times, especially with this pandemic, I'm reminded on the business side, there's a thing called business continuity, which means what if something, then what? Are you prepared? And hopefully we're not preparing for another pandemic or anything like that. But in order to be prepared, you look back. And there's a saying that I've shared often too, that one of my daughters that's a school teacher played a lot of ball and basketball in her day and some college ball to get her education and coach college ball. Now she's teaching in an elementary school. But there's a saying that she said, winner, that resonates in my brain. It's not about the winning and losing, but people always remember how you played the game and how you finished. And so I think of these heroes among us. I think of our teachers, how they played the game and how they finished. And the game didn't end. Of course, we're all experts on COVID. A lot of times we don't want to think back to everything that was going on. I want to compliment you guys as board members. When that rolled out and our schools got shut down, it was like ready, set, go. Let's get back in the education business. And you guys worked hard. Staff worked hard, collaborating with our LEAs on what is our school year going to look like following this shutdown? What options and opportunities do our parents have as the school year started that fall? And it was a lot of work, and I want to recognize your efforts on there, but I also want to recognize more so, and you guys played the game very well, and you finished very well in making that happen. But in our education community with our teachers, through all this, I've got to look back and remember, just like our veterans of multiple wars, we cannot forget about them. I know for a longest time, we had this pause and forget our veterans that served in the Vietnam War. But there was a major pandemic that hit us, and it was like war with a lot of people. A lot of our futures were, but of course we're experts now. But the future was yet to be determined. But our education community led out. Our teachers went above and beyond in creative ways to make education happen, and they did this in collaborating with parents. And local boards and knowing and using their resources. I could go on for hours and hours telling the little stories, but it is interesting to see what betterments came from public education. For an example, virtual leadership experiences and student competitions done virtually. CTE kind of put this all in motion. So kudos of how they made that happen. And our students still had these experiences. Teachers increased their understanding of accommodations. How do I deliver what was in a face-to-face and into a different format, and then also the hybrid. In following really strict safety protocols, teachers went above and beyond with one-on-one students in a school building. Of course, the safety protocols were all in place to deliver these education services to the most vulnerable of our children. There's also the use of technology increased in a big way, of new software and digital platforms. This kind of reinvented public education, and it's totally different today in a betterment sense, of a good betterment, than it was several years ago before the pandemic hit. Teachers were very creative on how they made education happen, and especially in our rural areas, of how do I connect with parents, how do I connect with teachers. And again, some of it was one-on-one, some of it was virtual, where school bus drivers, their assignment was to go find the best place and create hotspots so people had access to the internet. This was all done by teachers and support staff that went above and beyond. Special ed education teachers, also following safety protocols, were making home visits and home instruction. A lot of this happened on the porch, in the driveway, at a park, wherever they could, to make sure this education happened. This is all big stuff that I don't think we should forget, that these heroes that are our teachers as we're moving forward. Our teachers and education community was so caught up in student experiences, they went way out of their way. You guys saw what happened with graduations that took place in parking lots and drive-ins and even drive-throughs in neighborhood, to make sure that our students would still have these positive experiences. Now, this wasn't done by us, wasn't dictated by somebody. This is our education community working with parents, making this happen during a pandemic. And there's also, I just want to speak to a point, or right now, in looking back through all this hard stuff that was happening, teacher retention stayed right at around the 89-90% part. They didn't drop out and quit, and because of all of this fatigue and all of this hard work, as they were putting countless hours in early morning and evenings, as there a lot of teachers still in the family business too, of raising their families. I just want to conclude, there's a war for talent out there right now. We've talked about it to the legislature as we're trying to prop up public education and funding, and we need to give reasons why teachers need to become teachers, and teachers need to stay in the teacher profession. Teachers are all in the people business. Teachers have many choices now with this war for talent, that they can, in the past, but more so now, that they can relieve some of these burdens of and some of the challenges that are being placed on them right now, and go to an easier place to work. But they are choosing to stay in this profession. We have choices that we can make in the policies that we set, the messaging that we share, in our appreciation and acknowledgement of this great work. And I want to invite you, as you go about, just don't limit it to this Teacher Appreciation Week. I value, from our bus drivers to our lunch workers, our classified, our teachers, our administrators, if they're truly heroes and heroes among us, let's express our gratitude just like we do our service members when we see them, and thank them for their service and thank them for their commitment to make this education happen. As our school year is coming to a close, there's a lot of excitement. I think teachers who've been sprinting through this marathon of education, of disruptive learning, and getting back in the swing of things, and dealing with the distraction of some of the negatives that are out there, that hopefully they're getting enough positives there, but as the school year's coming to a conclusion, graduation, grades, kids are getting ready for their field days, or they're getting ready for a little bit of a summer break. And that these teachers aren't ready for a pause moment. They're already thinking and gearing up for the following year. They're assessing the class that's before them. As they're in the shipping, they're more in the receiving and shipping business than shipping and receiving. They're already gearing up for this. So I want to extend this invitation for us to choose to express our appreciation often to our teachers and thank them for their service. This concludes my board chair's remarks, and I'm excited that this Teacher Appreciation Week reminds us a little bit of looking back, but it also should prompt us in moving forward to continue to make good policy decisions and move these betterments forward. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your service. That concludes my chair's report. We're ahead of schedule, which is all really good.